So we've had a few wins in a couple of games, 4-3 against Wellington Phoenix, and now we've also had a very convincing win, probably the most convincing win we've had in a very, very long time against Perth Glory, 3-0. And one of the players that was heavily involved in those two matches was Mitch Duke. Now, everyone knows Mitch Duke's story. He came to us halfway through a very disastrous season a couple of years ago, stayed for a year and a half, got an offer to go to the Middle East, where he did go, scored one goal in 15 odd games or something like that, and came back to Western Sydney Wanderers on a loan. And a lot of people were buzzing, a lot of people were so thrilled, so hyped about it, and I can understand that. He was our best player, top goal scorer, only up there with Riera from a couple of seasons ago. So it's safe to say that Duke is a fan favourite and is up there in the record books with Western Sydney Wanderers. Now, when he did go, I thought, well, here's another player who's come to the Wanderers or to the A-League in general, had a good season, and was offered some money to go overseas. And fair enough, I get that. I don't begrudge him for it. But when things are not going so well for you overseas, which we have noticed with many players in the past as well. Marco Rojas, for example, comes and goes every couple of years, Victory and back again. Who else have we seen? Bobo's come back to Sydney FC for whatever reason at the age of like 35 or 36, whatever he is. I'm not sure. Berisha as well went overseas to Asia. It didn't work out for him, came back, playing at Western United now. So there are some players. Milligan as well is one, was at Victory, went overseas, come back again. And some of these players are at that age where they don't play at the highest level anymore, which I completely understand. I get that. That's fine. But what I'm saying is, when players don't perform well overseas, coming from the A-League, they always come back to the A-League and fall back on it as though it's a safety net. You know, they're doing the flying trapeze act, and then if they fall, there's a net that catches them so they can get back up and go again. And that's one thing that we've noticed in many years, and nothing new. It's not a new phenomenon, as I just said. And on ATB, when Duke's announcement was announced that he was returning, I wasn't spiteful of him coming back, but I was wary of, this is a player who left us for greener pastures or greener dollars. And again, I don't begrudge him for chasing the money. He's got to do what he's got to do. But when it doesn't work out for him over there, they always find a way to come back to us in the A-League. And has he scored goals for us? Yes, he scored goals for us. Has he, been the man that we've needed to sometimes to get us back into it? Yes, his 2 goals the other night against Perth Glory definitely show that. He's a good focal point. He does come from deep. He does like to start plays. Ibini runs off him. Yabal runs off him. Kamal runs off him. Whatever the case is. Very similar to how Riera played, mind you. But he's no Riera. But he still gets his head to quite a few crosses. But the whole point is, Duke coming back was a bit of a cop-out to the A-League and to ourselves. That's basically what I said. I think Steven shared my sentiments as well. Maybe Tats did to some extent. I think Josh was actually... I think he was on board with him coming back. Not to say I wasn't on board, but and I'm happy that he's come back and he's scoring goals for us. I completely get that. I can understand that he's here scoring goals, winning us games, and just being, Mitch Duke, that we know, the Duke of Western Sydney, as much as that term makes me cringe. I get it. And I was celebrating his goals. His second goal, you can see me in camera in my red, white and blue jacket celebrating his goal. Because I did say in our podcast, look, I wish him well. I want him to do well for us. I want him to score goals. But him coming back to us when things don't work out overseas is just another cop-out to the squad and to the A-League. And for those who are maybe going out in the ether, in the Twitter sphere or social media land saying, and some people didn't want him back, or some people were not thrilled of him returning, it's not the case. It's not that we didn't want him back. It would have been nice if he stayed to begin with for the whole duration of the period. But for him to go overseas, not work out, and then come back, that just belittles the A-League. Now, some may say, realistically, you have to look at where the A-League are in comparison with where he's playing overseas. And same with players go to China, to Japan, Korea, Philippines, Thailand, wherever it is that they go. Is it a better league? Maybe. Is there more money to be made? 100%. But if you are that good of a player, if you are really that good, of an athlete, of a footballer, you should have no problems making it in another league overseas. We've seen some players do it very, very well. Aaron Moy started at Western Sydney, didn't really, get up to speed. Went to Melbourne Heart or City at the time, whatever they were. Absolutely killed it. Went over to who was he at? Brighton and Hove Albion. Absolutely smashed it. I think he was also at Huddersfield Town maybe at one point before he went to Brighton. Yeah, it was fantastic. Like, there are moments where there is success there, and now he's playing in China. Whatever's happening in China at the moment, I heard that league is all over the place. But all the same, it does happen. But for players to go and come back so quickly because things don't work out for them overseas, and I'm not talking about 3 or 4 years, I'm talking about every season or two, they tend to go and come back. Like Yeboah, who's with us now, he's been with us now for what, season and a half now, something like that? Maybe 2? I'll say a season and a half. He left Brisbane Roar at a young age, went overseas, played in Germany for 4 or 5 years, and then came back, which I understand. I get that. He was there for a good while. It's different for someone who's gone over there and actually given it a good crack, didn't work out, and then they've come back again. So that's all we're going to say. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm speaking on my behalf, not on any other panelist on ATB. So do we hate Duke returning? No. Do we like him scoring goals? Yes, of course we do. Do we like how he left for the dollars and then came back on loan because he didn't really make it well over there? Well, you can go yes or no on that one. That's completely up to yourselves. And another thing on the vice captaincy, does he really need to be, on the captaincy, not vice captaincy? He's on loan. He's not with us permanently. I don't know any player in history, maybe off the top of my head, I can't think, but any player who has been captain whilst on loan at a club. We'll discuss this more on ATB this coming week, which will be out Wednesday morning, about 7:30 a.m. We'll have a discussion about maybe the whole Duke situation, the team's performance in the short amount of time, and what we can expect going forward now, as we're currently sitting in second at the time of this recording. But I don't think that there's any doubt in Duke's ability. But to give him captaincy whilst on loan, I think that is maybe a little bit of a stretch. I'd much rather see Dorrans get captaincy. Hell, I'd even much rather see Gordon get captaincy over McGowan at the moment. And it's not to say I don't want him to do well. I want all of our players to do well. But he's just doesn't seem like a leader on the pitch. He might have the most experience in the club. Maybe he's played overseas more than anyone else in terms of Australian players at the moment. But I'd much rather see Dorrans get captaincy, or Gordon, for example, someone who actually, has some leadership qualities, because for me, McGowan just doesn't have it. But it'll be a discussion more for ATB this coming Wednesday. Do give it a listen. It'll be on all social media platforms, podcasts, all that sort of thing there. So do check it out. But again, these are just my thoughts on the whole Duke situation. Just an observation of what I saw after the game against Perth. So don't charge any hate towards ATB. Put all your hate towards me. It's what we do. You can be added to the t-shirt list. And if you've been listening for long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm going to leave it there. Once again, ATB out this Wednesday morning. Stick around for that one.